the crew, and you, the supporters that make it possible. I want to salute and thank all of you. It is an incredible blessing to have been able to build Infowars.com and to bring in all these journalists, accomplished journalists, researchers, and to be having such a big effect and really just trying to find the truth, trying to be honest, telling the truth no matter how painful it is. Because it's the truth that's going to set us free, as the Bible says. Before we go back to Greg Palast, think about the guests you hear here. The whistleblowers, the intel, the CBS reporter that blew the whistle, the whistleblowers of Fukushima, the William Binney, number 2 or number 3, depending on how you look at it, number 4 at the NSA, the director of major operations, exposing everything here on air. But we'll also take an article out of Time magazine that nobody's covering and go, look, whistleblower claims CDC covered up data showing vaccine autism link. We're a clearinghouse of the stuff the system hopes gets lost in the cracks. And that's why it's important to remember that when you tell friends and family about the radio show, when you send a link to a YouTube video or to the free podcast or Infowars.com/show to the free video feed, when you reach out more people, that's the power of humanity that the globalists can't trump. And when you go to InfoWarsStore.com and get the Made in America, long sleeve, modern camo, Molon Labe, come and take it shirts, belt buckles, things like that, you get to meet like-minded people, have really good-looking made-in-America high-quality products, and fund this operation. More of the camo shirts that keep selling out. We can't get enough of these. I'm trying to get these for months. We only get 300 and something made-in-America long-sleeve Molon Labe. We should be selling them for $50. They're $26.95. And they're going to sell out. And I looked at Weldon and I said, I guess we'll get something from Ecuador or Mexico. At least it funds people in this hemisphere. I mean, I cannot get American-made in the stuff people want. I mean, that's how screwed up this country is. But it's still made in America. Everything in the Made in 1776 line at made-in-1776.com. It costs us like $10 a shirt instead of $2 in Mexico to bring you this shirt. Anyways, the point is they're available at InfoWarsStore.com. It was supposed to end this morning, but customarily, they like to give me a few extra days to promote stuff. If you haven't gotten the super high-quality nutraceuticals at InfoWarsLife.com, the nascent iodine, the X2, the silver bullet, colloidal silver, the super male, super film vitality, there's some specials going on that. You can get 10% off with promo code WATER on all the water filtration systems. We've got the best stuff that's out there for the price. The Pro Pure G2, the clearly filtered, other great brands, 10% off. You can always get 10% off, but the free shipping ends today. In fact, I'm going to go in there and tell them after the show, look, I know they're in there listening, ended at 2 o'clock. In fact, it's going to end in an hour and 20 minutes. Hour and 23 minutes, it's going to end. Boom, it's over. You want the free shipping and to stop drinking all the glyphosate and garbage in the water. You're crazy if you don't filter your water for your children. And the comparable filters they sell at stores, just clean out the bad taste and don't remove down to non-detectable levels the fluoride, the chlorine, all the garbage like these G2 systems do. And they either remove it all or 99+%. I mean, there's hundreds of chemicals out there, but the point is they can reduce it almost down to nothing. It's the best gravity-fed system out there, and this is the last day. It will end today as well. In fact, I'm going to tell them at 2 o'clock to take it down. You can get, instead of $54.95 for a year of the nightly news and all the films at prisonplanet.tv, it is basically half off right now. 20 people can use each membership, so it comes down to 12 cents per person a day, $2.50 a month, $29.95 a year instead of $54.95, and you are funding this tip of the spear news operation. Again, it is so essential. I want to thank you all for your help. When you get the highest quality nutraceuticals at very competitive prices, you can get 2 bottles of X2, get a free bottle of Ancient Defense Herbal Boost. It's simply amazing. Myself and my children are taking it. We haven't gotten sick yet. Cross our fingers, knock on wood. The things that are in it are known to boost immunity. And then they come right out and admit the flu shot has never been guessed the right mutation, lowers your immunity, it does not help you. I mean, that's even in mainstream news now. It's just crazy how sunlight and vitamin C is what you need. Now, I'm ranting. Going back to Greg Palast of gregpalast.com, we'll tell you about his newest book in a moment. And I want to open the phones up if you've got any quick questions or comments about different scandals, back to SNL that he investigated for the feds, right through to current derivatives. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Your chance to talk to economist, investigative journalist, Greg Palast of gregpalast.com. Now, Greg, I'm asking the questions here, and I want you to get to the IMF riot document, finish up with that, tied into current things that are happening. Then I want to give you the floor to talk about the biggest scandals that haven't really broken yet and things that you're hot on the heels of, because you have a history here joining us for, I guess, about 15 years or longer of really dropping bombshells on this show. So get into the IMF riot, current destabilization, and you've got the floor, Greg Palast.
Okay, well, the first thing is the IMF riot. Basically, we got inside documents which suggested that the IMF and the World Bank were actually secretly telling finance ministers, if we're going to crack down on the workers in your economy, take away their pensions, etc., first we need a shakeup, and what we do is we squeeze them. We need a riot, basically. And I went to Joe Stiglitz, who had been the chief economist of the World Bank. He'd also been a member of the president's cabinet under Clinton as chief of the Council of Economic Advisors. But you know, once you get a Nobel Prize, you're kind of a free person. You can now open your mouth and you're kind of safe. So I said, you know, Dr. Stiglitz, it looks like they're planning riots. And he said, yes. This is a quote. We called those the IMF riots. He said, we just squeezed. The plan was you squeeze and squeeze until people explode. When they explode, then you can bring the tanks into the street. That's what we're seeing now with the game being played with the nation of Greece and all over the southern tier nations of the European Union, like Portugal, Spain, Italy, and even though it's not southern, is Ireland. What's happened in Greece is that when they became part of the euro, there was a con game going on. When you become part of the euro, you can't have more than a 3% deficit. So the Greek government, to hide their deficit, cut a deal with Goldman Sachs to make phony currency swap exchanges. The Greek government paid Goldman about $400 million for running this scam, and which we uncovered. They never denied it. That's absolutely what happened. The government says I'm correct. And I mean, big deal. They did it. They got caught. And then the creditors said, okay, we're going to raise your interest rate because you've been lying. So suddenly they're paying. People in Greece are now stuck with about $14,000 per person in interest payments per year. That's almost what their entire salary. So it became impossible. They're now down to more than 25% unemployment, which is a bit higher than what we had in America in the Great Depression. People's wages are down by a third. Their pensions have been cut in half by the leaders of the Eurozone, the European Central Bank, controlled by the German finance minister, a guy named Schäuble. And so you're talking about a situation that's worse than the Great Depression. But unlike the Great Depression, where we had a President Franklin Roosevelt, agree with him or not, he said, this has got to end, and started putting people back to work and ending that Great Depression, obviously ultimately ended by a war. But in Greece, the Germans are saying, and the rulers of the Eurozone, the bankers ruling the Eurozone are saying, 25% unemployment, your wages is cut by a third, your pension's cut in half. That's not enough. You need more. You've got to, they call it reform. And what it is punishment. And they kept squeezing people and squeezing people. You have teachers hunting through garbage cans to eat.
And people dumping their children off at the hospitals. And
right.
I mean, I go back to the founding of the EU. I've seen the different documents and statements. They founded it as a way to economically take over countries. And so just like with IMF and World Bank money to the third world, they say, here's the loan agreement, the things you have to do, and it's go into debt, it's buy your products from the very globalists that just loaned you the fiat money, and then basically the leaders walk off with a payoff and then hand the country over to them, and then all the globalists fly in when they've depressed your economy and buy it up, correct?
Yes, and well, let me just get to this, because what happened was people were squeezed, and they got what they wanted. They got the riot. A bank was burnt down with a couple people burnt to death inside. And suddenly, the people, because of the riots, suddenly the tanks hit the streets, and the European banking system took over Greece. Basically, it was a kind of financial coup d'etat. And they started dictating further cuts in wages. You have to sell off your properties. They're selling off their biggest port to the Chinese. They are selling off the big power company. They sold off the water systems. And now they're selling off the beaches, and everything that is or isn't nailed down in Greece is being sold off for nothing, for peanuts, to supposedly pay off these debts. They call it reform. It's grand theft. And that's the game. And when I talked to Stiglitz himself about this, he says, yes, that's what they're doing. And his phrase, let me repeat, this is a quote. They don't care if people live or die. They don't care if people live or die. That's a quote from the guy who was the chief economist of the game. Okay, but now he's free because he's got his Nobel Prize and he feels he could speak out. He was, I have to tell you that when I quoted him and put his stuff on television, he was at first upset because he was worried, as he was hoping maybe he'd be brought back into the mainstream as, but no way. And, he had been fired by the globalists as